We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been getting bigger. Hey guys, what's going on? Jebb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your weekdaily morning show where we bring you the latest in everything Bitcoin. I'm a little off-center. There we go. This is your weekdaily morning show where we bring you the latest in everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And in today's episode, we are going to talk about a $1,500 drop that happened on Bitcoin over just the last 24 hours. And we're going to talk about why that's important. You see, Bitcoin had been trading sideways in the symmetrical triangle pattern where essentially it had been bouncing up and down, but getting more and more narrow in its trading range. And then last week on May the 3rd, we saw the effective federal funds rate come out with a 25 basis point rate hike, but half an hour later, 38 minutes exactly later, Jerome Powell teased that there was going to be a rate pause come the June 14th FOMC meeting. After that came out, and after some more news of potentially more trouble in the United States banking sector revealed itself, we saw a major rally on Bitcoin that drove Bitcoin nearly to $30,000. That was not to last, though, because Bitcoin actually went ahead and dropped straight out of the same symmetrical triangle pattern that it had just broken bullish out of. So now that begs the question for us, why in the world is Bitcoin acting so volatile? Why can it not seem to make up its mind? And will that change come Wednesday when the CPI data releases and we hopefully see an inflationary drop? We're going to talk about all of that and more in today's episode of Coffee and Crypto Live. Also got a really cool chart from Visual Capitalist that I'm going to want to show you to help you visualize just the major amount of impact that these effective federal funds rate decisions have had on the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency market. We're going to talk about a few other things that may be trending. We might take a look at one of your favorite meme coins, Pepe, real quick. Not a giant fan of meme coins, but it is in the news lately, so we might take a look at it. No promises. We'll see how you guys react to that. Most of you guys are like, let's not talk about a bunch of meme coins. We want to talk about, real solid trading strategy. But there is a possibility to make money in some of those cryptocurrencies, so we might take a look at it. Guys, I've caved. I've got to get personal with you here for a second. I've caved. Over the last couple of days, I've been having like a Mountain Dew or some other kind of drink that's absolutely terrible for you in the mornings because I just kind of needed some caffeine because we do have a newborn and she's a little angel. We get like probably 6 hours of sleep a night, but it's still hard because, coming on Coffee and Crypto, I've got to talk nonstop for 45 minutes and I've got to keep formulating ideas. And so when it's first thing in the morning, I haven't had any caffeine and I'm in the middle of trying to get off caffeine. So I've got caffeine withdrawal also. You might notice there's something a little bit different about me this morning. I decided to take up drinking coffee again, at least for the next couple of months. You can see today's stream is jokingly brought to you by my husband mug. I don't know if you can see it because the way the light is. The light's off screen here, but it says strength 1,100%, good looking 800%, leadership 1,000%, hard work 110%. I guess I'm lazy because that one's way lower than the other ones. Wrong answer 0%, unconditional love infinity. My wife got me this for, was it Father's Day? She's not in the room. She's in the other room. I have to ask her. It wasn't Father's Day. It was what's the holiday that comes right before Father's Day? Easter. She got it for Easter for me for last year. So shout out to my lovely wife. Also for sharing a cup of joe with me this morning. Let's go ahead and read some chat and then we're going to jump straight on into it. Wisely T said second. I'm afraid you're wrong. You actually were not second. You were first. Wisely T, you finally got it. Good job, my friend. I think you just predicted that you were going to be second again. You actually got first on my screen today. Fox P2 was also correct. He said not first. You were second. So you guys should have just switched. And then Wisely T, you still would have been wrong because you were first. But nevertheless. Lucas Hall in chat said, good morning. Kevin Doran says hello. Chris SF, good to see you. Good morning, Jebb. Crypto Jeeb said good morning. Rocket Metal News said good morning. Ivan Cunanan said, run now, run now. Good morning. Elizabeth said, so buying opportunity. Morning. Tyler on Gaming. Josh Denham. Andre Corpus. I have an uncle-in-law named Andre, so shout out to all the Andres in the world. Elvis Prebibij said, hi, Jebb. Can you talk about the head and shoulder pattern forming on the daily? And if it breaks the neckline, that could be a brutal drop to 25K. Agreed. We will take a look at that. Well, just assume my ping would make me second as usual. That's what I was saying, Wisely. Shadrach Frost, good to see you in chat. Said, good morning, Jebb and chat. Happy Monday morning. Jojo said, I've been buying Bitcoin, DCAing. We'll talk about DCA a little bit. There's so much I want to jump into today, so we're going to try and be quick. But, oh goodness, there was something I wanted to say before we jumped into it. Oh, I know what it was. I want to give a shout out to one of these new sponsors of our channel, and they haven't even asked me to put this placement here on the stream, but I just think this is such a good deal that I'm going ahead and letting you guys know about this deal, even though like Nord did not ask me to put this here, just so you know. They sponsored the Saturday video. Very thankful for that because they helped to pay for the cost of making that video. It takes a lot to make a video, but they did not ask me to tell you this, but here on this stream. But I want to tell you anyway about a deal that NordVPN has for you. If you guys don't know about NordVPN, they're the biggest name in VPNs, virtual private networks. Essentially, a VPN helps to protect you from all kinds of things. First and foremost, it helps to protect you from hackers and other thieves that are trying to get access to your information so that they can try and steal something like bank account logins, passwords to major important things like email accounts, YouTube accounts, whatever it might be, bank accounts. They're also going to help you to protect you from people stealing things like logins to Coinbase. Or even if they get into your computer and you have something like a hardware wallet and you accidentally exported your private keys one time and they're just sitting on your laptop and you don't realize they're there, they could hack into your computer and steal all your cryptocurrency because you made one mistake. So you need to protect yourself and invest in the best security that you can here in the cryptocurrency space, but also just in general. And one of the reasons I'm bringing this up is because for subscribers of this channel who use coupon code Jebb, J-E-B-B, you can use it with the link in the description box down below. That website, that link is going to bring you right here. As seen on YouTube, exclusive deal by NordVPN. Get extra months, be safe for longer with a free 30-day money-back refund guarantee. Check this out. I've just compared the deal you're going to get by signing up with our link to the regular deal if you don't sign up with the link. If you sign up for the 2-year plan of NordVPN, you're going to get for $3.17 a month. That comes to $88 for the first 2 years, and you get 4 free months. The regular deal without our coupon code is $6.69 a month with only 3 regular months, and it costs you $180. So you're saving like 60%. It goes from $180 down to $88 for 2 years if you buy the 2-year plan, if you use our link. So just so you know, you're saving 60% on NordVPN by signing up with our link down below. So go to nordvpn.com/Jebb, J-E-B-B, and spend $80 to start protecting yourself for the next 2 years against hackers and thieves that could steal thousands of dollars of your cryptocurrency. This is like the most investment you could ever make in your security, because security is an absolutely under talked about part of financial sovereignty. All right, just wanted to put that spiel out there because I think it's actually very valuable. I've been using NordVPN for years, so when they reached out to sponsor the channel, I thought, you know what, this is a match made in heaven. I love working with sponsors that I love, like LuxAlgo, TradingView, Club DeFi, obviously we made. I love getting to work with sponsors that I really, truly believe in and I use every single day. Make sure to check out NordVPN, link down below. Let's jump on to CoinMarketCap. Bitcoin has dropped pretty hard. It's sitting at $27,000, $27,840, down 4% over the last 24 hours. This is something that I'm not concerned about for reasons that we're going to talk about a little bit later, but I do just want you to realize that this drop could change things a little bit over the course of this week. Back up. This is a very important week for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency because of something called the CPI data release. You guys have heard about CPI so many times from me here on this channel, but if you're new here, CPI is the Consumer Price Index. That is the data that the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics releases every single second Wednesday of the month is normally where it is. It's normally around the 10th to the 14th of the month. The next release is coming on May 10th, 2023 at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, and we're going to hopefully see a decrease in the inflation of the United States dollar. The reason that that's so important is because the United States Federal Reserve is hiking interest rates to get inflation under control. Interest rates, as you can see in our Saturday video, which if you haven't watched is right here, you should definitely go watch this video. This video is going to give you a ton of context, and even in this video, I go ahead and quote Jerome Powell in his speech talking about how there's likely going to be, he was teasing a pause. You can see that is right here. I love editing videos, by the way, and I'm really excited about how the editing of this video turned out. You can take a look at this video on the channel and get an idea of what's going on with the effective federal funds rate hiking. Nevertheless, effective federal funds rate was hiked to 5.15% in the fastest hiking cycle that we have seen in over 35 years in the United States of America. The reason they're doing that is because they're trying to get inflation under control. Inflation ran all the way up to 9.6% in June of last year as a result of the massive amount of quantitative easing and disruption to the United States economy that occurred during the pandemic during 2020 and 2021. Now the Fed is trying to get inflation under control. They've hiked rates up to 5.15% as of May the 3rd. That was last Wednesday. So now we need to see what's going to happen with inflation. Is inflation going to continue to come down? If not, then the Fed is likely going to continue hiking rates in June. But if inflation comes down even by 0.1% here on May the 10th, which is 2 days from now, 8:30 a.m., then the Fed will likely pause rates. Why is this important? Well, again, go watch the video I uploaded on Saturday because I go into more detail on it over there. I go into more detail why June is shaping up to be a hugely bullish month for Bitcoin because two of the biggest impactors of Bitcoin, the Fed rate and the inflation rate, are setting themselves up in this kind of golden setup for a massive rally. Again, watch that video if you haven't. The point is, if inflation comes down even 0.1%, that's going to signal to the Fed, hey, we can pause rates because inflation is at 4.9%, 4.8, 4.7, whatever, because right now it's at 5, but when it comes out, 4.9, 4.8, 4.7, hopefully, if it goes down just a little bit, and the EFFR is sitting at 5.15, the Fed likes to get the Fed rate above inflation and then drop them both together. So if they plateau at 5.15, they can get inflation to come down to 4% just because of the rate hikes they've already done. Then they'll start dropping it down to 4.9, down to 4.65, dropping it a quarter basis point. Maybe 8 to 12 months from now after inflation's pushing down towards that high 3% range. That means that if we do see a inflation drop on May the 10th, which is Wednesday, then we are very likely to see a major rally coming into Bitcoin, which is perfect timing because, as you can see, I told you in the intro, Bitcoin was in this massive symmetrical triangle pattern, broke bullish out of it, then broke bearish out of it in what amounts to almost a $2,000 drop on Bitcoin, over $2,000 drop on Bitcoin in 2 days. What that means is that Bitcoin has been going through a major correction in anticipation of this CPI data release. Remember, guys, one of the things we talked about, and I'm going to clean up this chart here later on in the video. I actually didn't clean it up before we started because I wanted to do it with you because it's kind of satisfying cleaning up a dirty chart. Anyway, we talked about how Bitcoin had gone through a major rally after the March CPI data release, but in April when the CPI data came out, Bitcoin had not had a correction. Well, this time we've had 3 major corrections, not all at once. Bitcoin's managed to rebound, which is kind of a good sign, but we've dropped 13%, $4,000. Then we had another drop, $2,000. Then we had another drop, $2,000. Bitcoin is not going into this CPI data release any lower than it did going into the April CPI data release. They're going into the release at almost the exact same price, around $27,000 to $28,000. But we've had major drops that have knocked out a lot of those they have knocked out a lot of those bulls that were overexposed, over-leveraged. And I think it's reset the market in a more healthy state so that when that CPI data release comes out, if it is a CPI drop, then we're going to be able to see a major rally on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. I do believe May 10th is going to be a very bullish day for Bitcoin because Bitcoin has gone through the necessary drops. We've had an effective federal funds rate pause teased by Jerome Powell for next meeting, which happens on June 14th. And if CPI data does come out and CPI has dropped, the market's already gone through those corrections to allow it to go into a major rally. What that means, coming Wednesday, we very well could see a rally all the way up above $29,000 to $30,000, and that would be a great trading opportunity. So real quick, let's just take a minute, clean up the chart because it's always really fun cleaning up charts. Every one of these lines is here for a reason, but most of them are not very useful right now. Let's take a second, clean up the chart because I know you guys enjoy that, and then we will go ahead and talk about how to profit from that movement. You can see there's so much junk here on my primary chart. I'm going to go ahead and remove our end-of-year price target. I'm going to go ahead and remove that level right there. Let's just go ahead and remove all of these lines. This feels really good. I don't know if you guys have the same kind of like cleaning brain that I do. There's something I really enjoy about just cleaning our house, you know, like doing dishes or something. It just feels nice when you're done and you get to say, wow, this is a lot cleaner than it was. We just go through here, remove all these lines. I've got them stored in my memory bank in case we need them. Don't you worry about a thing, but we can go ahead and get rid of a bunch of these and make our chart look just a lot more clean, a lot prettier, and a lot more appealing to the eye. There we go. Isn't that better? Oh man, I just love cleaning up a chart because it just looks a lot better. All right, so this is a chart that we're going to want to pay attention to. You see, there's a few things here now that it's clean that we can see that we couldn't see before. First and foremost, there's a very obvious trend line right here. It just jumped out at me because the chart's clean. This is why cleanliness and being ordered is such an important thing. This trend line is hugely important because it shows the general midline of the uptrend we've been in since December of last year. And also on the daily chart, that trend line mirrors almost perfectly the 50 daily simple moving average. This is where a little bit of a caveat comes in. I'm hoping that Bitcoin bounces and holds above $27,000. That being said, as one commenter said in chat, and let me try and give credit where credit was due. Who was that? That was Elvis. Man, Elvis is in the building, apparently. Elvis told us about this head and shoulders pattern. This head and shoulders pattern could potentially, as you can see right here, drop us down. Shoulder line right here. Get our price target. Could drop us down to, basically, depending on how exactly you draw it, could drop us down to like 25,236 or the 200 daily simple moving average. Either way, head and shoulders pattern isn't very well set up. It's not the prettiest head and shoulders pattern. I personally wouldn't bank too much on it just because it's a little bit wonky, for lack of a better word. But if Bitcoin does drop out of its symmetrical triangle pattern further and it breaks below the 50 daily simple moving average, then we're looking for support on this uptrend or on this flat level of support, as we can see right here. That flat level of support also shows up from VRVP because it is the bottom of a major VRVP zone. There's a big, there's just a lot of kind of nothingness below that. Right below that $27,000 range, you pretty much have to go back down to 25 to find any kind of major VRVP support. So if Bitcoin does break another $1,000 to the downside, expect it to drop down to 25,236. That being said, Bitcoin could very well, because of the timing of everything, get caught in the middle of free fall while it's like jumping out of an airplane, and then a rocket hits it and it just takes off to the upside because of that CPI data release. So is it possible that Bitcoin drops further? Yes, it absolutely is, especially considering we're currently below the 50 daily simple moving average, especially considering on Lux Algo, we are still under a confirmed sell signal. Just keep that in mind. We're still under a confirmed sell signal. And the price target is down here at 25,800. So just keep in mind. Also today, this is just confirmed into a strong sell signal. Lux Algo's got a lot of great signals. You can get 30% off Lux Algo with the coupon down below as well. Again, another one of those sponsors that I use every day that I just absolutely love. Match made in heaven kind of deal. Lux Algo is giving us a lot of indications that Bitcoin could drop further from here. However far Bitcoin's drops, I would love to see it hold above 27, but if it doesn't, the further it drops, if we see that CPI data release come out and it's bullish, that's great because that should just turn Bitcoin around and turn it into an absolute just rocket. We saw the same thing happen in February, early March. Bitcoin dropped, what was this, $5,000? $5,500. And then when CPI data released right here, it was on May the 12th. That was one of those lines we deleted, March the 12th. When it released March 12th, or actually it wasn't March 12th, I'm sorry, it was March 14th, I think was when it released. Yes, it was Tuesday, March 14th. When that data came out, boom, Bitcoin rallied massively. We very well may see the same thing happen this time. So I'm pretty excited about what's coming this month, but I wanted to kind of give you a setup that Bitcoin will probably go through some more bearishness and really be fighting those bulls. The bears are in charge right now until CPI data comes out, but then when that bullish CPI data hopefully comes out, then this is how I think that you could trade this. Because I think there's a trading opportunity here. I think before you enter a trade, because you guys asked for a lot more trade setup, so I'm going to give you one. I think before you enter a long trade here, because personally, I like more conservative trades. I like the idea of using more capital, taking less risk, and not getting yourself in a position where you're going to lose your butt. So what the implications of that are, I like to wait a good bit before a trade's confirmed. I also like to advise using very little or no leverage and using a larger capital base. So if you're going to enter a trade, I think you should be very confident that the market's going to move that direction. This is a trade that I wouldn't give you quite as much confidence on because Bitcoin was already moving to the upside when CPI data released here in March. That might not be the case this time. We're actually still moving to the downside. But if Bitcoin goes to the upside, and because of that bearishness, I'm going to give you a little bit more confirmation before I say you enter. Then say we enter a trade potentially above 28,545. 28,545 is that critical midline that we've been trading around, and it's also the level of resistance that we that was the absolute low on June 22nd, 2021, that basically is the top of the transitionary zone. If Bitcoin breaks above the top of the transitionary zone, you could put an entry somewhere like, let's say, 28,700. That's about $150 above that, about $150 above the movement to the upside. At that point, you would probably want to take profit at least one time around $29,500. So I'll just put that as our first take profit. 29,500, not 290,000. There we go. 29,500. That'll give you about an $800 price target. And then you're going to want to use a pretty conservative stop loss. I'd say probably a 1% stop loss here. So that gives you about $28,400. You just do some quick head math. It'd be $287 lower. 287 minus 28,700 would be, let's see, 28,430, I think is what it would be. You guys can tell me. I don't think my math is right on that. Nevertheless, Use about a 1% stop loss. That's going to give you about a 3x risk to reward ratio. But I would say you could also hold on to maybe a third of this trade and wait for Bitcoin to break up to like 30,500. So hold on to a little bit of it, maybe cash out about a half to a 2/3 of the trade, and then hold on to a little bit of it, just hoping that Bitcoin does go on just an absolute moonshot up to 32,935. Bitcoin's done it before. Bitcoin's been trading sideways up here for a long time. It's reset itself in a lot of ways. It's had a lot of corrections. So depending on how meteoric that rally is, you could hold on to more of it to wait for it to go further to the upside. If you're already in a lot of profit and you're not at risk of losing profit because you've got a stop loss that's higher than your entry price by quite a bit, sometimes it's a good idea just to let some of that trade ride. And what I've done in the past is if it's not a leverage trade, if it is just a straight up spot trade, then you can actually take some of the trade and never sell it and roll it over into your investment portfolio. Because let's say you sold 2/3 of it to cash out some profit for the trade, then if you want to increase your trading portfolio, a strategy could be, to increase your investing portfolio, a strategy could be to keep a third of whatever you entered the trade and move it into your investment so that you have an entry price for your investment portfolio, in this case of 28,700. If Bitcoin's moving to the upside a huge bit, then you're just rolling over some of those gains from the trade and holding on to them for the long term and putting them in the investment portfolio. If you're trying to increase the size of your investment portfolio to the size of your trading portfolio, that's a good way that you can kind of rebalance things to the side of changing the size of your investment portfolio. And if you're a very profitable trader who trades a lot, I don't trade a lot anymore. I work on my business, I work with my family, and I invest in the cryptocurrency market a lot, but I do have a lot of trading experience over the years. When you are trying to rebalance your investment portfolio, if you're making a lot of money in your trading, then eventually you want to tax your trading portfolio and put profits into your investment, because you always want to have a backbone of an investment portfolio because you believe the market's rallying. If not, you shouldn't be in cryptocurrency. If you don't believe the market's going to generally go up over time, you're in the wrong industry. Just so you know, I hate to say that, but you're just in the wrong industry. If you don't believe Bitcoin's going to go up over time, you should probably go find an industry where you do believe that's going to happen. So make sure you have a basis in investment, roll over some of your profits from your trading into your investment portfolio. One of the ways you can do that is by taking part of your trade entry and not selling it. Sounds counterintuitive, but putting it back into the investment portfolio. Again, you can really only do that if you're longing on spot. You can't really do that if you're shorting. You can't really do that if you're on leverage. But if you are in a trade where you're on spot and you're on long, then you can kind of rebalance things like that. So those are just a couple of tips about how to make the most out of this movement that's coming up. I do think you're going to be able to go into a long trade. I do think that you're going to be able to make some money here. What I will say, as always, especially with things like CPI data releases, use a lot of caution and use a tight stop loss. Why? Well, quite simply, if CPI data comes out and we haven't dropped, because it can only drop for so long, right? If CPI hasn't dropped, if it moves sideways, if it goes up by 0.1%, God forbid, then that is going to have huge knock-on effects. Number one, that's going to cause a drop in the price of Bitcoin because Bitcoin rallies on CPI drops. That's the cause. That's the correlative relationship that we viewed in the last 4 to 5 CPI data releases. CPI data drops, and it's a drop, and CPI goes and Bitcoin goes up. So, and also because if it goes down, that's signaling that there's going to be a rate pause next month. If CPI stays sideways or goes up, not only is that the inverse of the relationship, CPI goes down, Bitcoin goes up. So if CPI goes up, we would expect Bitcoin would go down. So if CPI comes out and it's higher, it's 5.1%, we would expect Bitcoin to drop. But on top of that, that would also signal to us that there will be another 0.25 basis point rate hike, because that will signal to the Fed that inflation has not gotten under control yet. So just keep in mind, there are some variables here. You want to use very tight stop losses, and I would caution you not to enter a long trade until after you've seen the CPI data with your own eyes. So be refreshing BLS.gov/CPI every single couple of minutes moving into the 8:30 hour. And if it has gone down, if this is sitting at 4.9%, if this is sitting at 4.8%, you're going to have to see this for yourself because we'll be live at 10. Then you're going to want to make sure that you potentially look into that trade. But if you see it trade sideways or go up, then do not enter the trade. Instead, what you could do is you could actually consider going into a short trade with an entry. And this is where I like to give you both sides of the story. If we do, for some reason, see a CPI data increase, you could consider going into a short trade that would be very profitable. And I would encourage you, if you are using leverage, to potentially use a little bit of leverage on this because it'd probably be a big drop. You could enter a trade right below 27,200, which is our baseline. That's the floor of the market. If we drop below there, we're going to 25,236, especially if that drop is driven by some kind of major bearish news like a CPI data, like inflation data going up, inflation increasing. You'd enter a short trade right around $27,000. Just put our entry right there. Exit, I would go almost down to 25,236, so probably 25,500. You want to make sure you don't get, nope, 25,500. There you go. You don't want to go all the way down to the level because a lot of times the market will bounce right above the level. It won't get all the way down there. And then you would use that very tight stop loss. Very tight stop loss again, because you don't know how far the market's going to move on something like a CPI data release, because that's news related. That's not a technical formation that comes with a price target. That is a news formation, a news release, so you don't know how far the market's going to go. So if the data comes out and it's an increase in inflation, then that's a short trade you could set up. So here you go. Here are two trades you could set up. Obviously, the short trade would be a lot more catastrophic because the market's already moving to the downside. The price target's a lot lower. There's a lot less resistance. The long trade's a little bit more difficult. You're going to have to play it by ear, but it is the one that's more likely to happen. So if you're a trader, that would be my 2 cents on how to spend your 2 Satoshis on setting up 2 different trades. All right. Let's go ahead and read chat here for a second, and then I've got a cool chart to show you to give you some insight on the way that inflation data is working. Let's go ahead and boom, cheers with some coffee, and we will continue going here. Lovely, lovely coffee. All right. If you guys are enjoying today's stream, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that post notification bell so you won't miss a single upload, and make sure to go back and watch that Saturday video because you're going to have a lot more context about where Bitcoin is and where Bitcoin's going based on the decision that was made on May the 3rd by the FOMC and the very, very telling statement that Jerome Powell made at the following press conference at 2:38 Eastern on May 8th. I do believe that gives us so much insight into what Bitcoin will be doing come mid-June. So if you want to be informed on where Bitcoin is going in mid-June, then I highly encourage you to go back and watch that video. All right. Mike Lowry said, late for class, and I don't have a late pass, but I'm here. Mike Lowry, you can go sit in the very front of the class where I can keep my eye on you because you've been tardy like several times lately. I'm one to talk. I keep coming live 1 minute late, so... I'm that one hypocritical substitute teacher, aren't I? Grand Roofing Incorporated said, thanks, Jebb. I've gotten some amazing discounts from your partners. Absolutely, Grand Roofing. Really appreciate you for signing up for those. I'm really hoping that you guys will sign up for NordVPN. They're a new sponsor to the channel, but they are absolutely worth it. And I'm really excited for you guys to save like 60% on a 2-year plan. I mean, guys, it goes literally, look, I showed you this earlier, but with nordvpn.com/Jebb, you're going to go from spending $180, you can see it right here, spending $180 on a 2-year plan to spending $88 on a 2-year plan. So make sure to go and check that out if you have not already. They are the #1 in the game for VPNs and digital security and at large, to be honest with you right now. And you might not realize, but Nord's actually expanded into a lot of things. They actually have a password manager now. They're really a very large growing company. And just so you know, also, if you're worried about reputation, they have the likes of PewDiePie, Philip DeFranco, Productions. All of those guys have been sponsored by NordVPN, and all of them love NordVPN. So they're a very reputable brand. They're the #1. Make sure to check them out. Okay. Literally just signed up for NordVPN because of that deal. Boom. Thank you, Shadrach Frost. Really appreciate you. Hopefully you will enjoy that deal. All these prices, most are good 2-year holds. Absolutely, I agree. Most of the large cap cryptocurrencies. All right, before we wrap it out, because we've got about 15 minutes here, I want to show you this really interesting chart over here on Visual Capitalist. If you guys are not familiar with Visual Capitalist, they are a really interesting website. Not sponsored, never been sponsored by Visual Capitalist, but just giving a free shout out here to them because they've got some really great, infographics. That's what their deal is. They're Visual Capitalists. They're infographics about capitalistic markets. Love to be sponsored by Visual Capitalists. So shout out to them because I've been using their stuff for years. Use their stuff to show the value of Bitcoin versus the value of gold. Use their stuff to show the size of the real estate market. Very interesting website. Comparing the speed of United States interest rate hikes. You can see the uptick over the eye. It's pretty funny. Rates have risen faster than any other time in recent history. Normally, I try not to just read articles to you, but with an infographic, I kind of have to show you. Normally, if I'm reading an article to you and bring it up on screen, now I might cite it and say, hey, I learned this in this article, but normally if I'm bringing an article up on screen, I don't like to do that because that signals to me that, hey, I haven't studied the article enough because I need the show notes of rereading it. So I've noticed myself doing that before. Sometimes I'll be like, yeah, I read the article, but maybe I didn't totally just memorize it, right? Because I want to just be able to go, boom, off the cuff. I hate reading scripts because if I'm reading a script, I'm like, apparently I don't know it well enough, right? That's why I love what I do here live, because it's off the cuff. I have no script. But with visual capitalist stuff, I kind of have to show you because part of the point is the data and the way that the chart looks. So let's take a look at this. The Federal Reserve has aggressively raised rates to fight inflation. In just over a year, the effective federal funds rate has risen nearly 5 percentage points. This came out, what was this, a couple of days ago? Actually, it was yesterday, May the 7th. So this was made before they realized that the CPI, that the EFFR rate had risen to 5.15%. How does this compare to other periods of interest rate hikes over the past 35 years? So here's the chart. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. I think I can zoom out like that. There we go. Here's the chart. Change in effective federal funds rate. So this is the percentage point change. This is not how high the rate went. You can see how high the rate went here right below the actual chart. You can see in 2022 and 2023, we have risen the interest rate by 4.88 percentage points in 14 months. There's been 14 months, and this is before the last interest rate hike, actually. So this would be 5.13%, because when they started hiking rates, it wasn't exactly at 0%, it was at 0.02%. So they've hiked them 5.13% in 14 months. That is the fastest rate of hiking that the effective federal funds rate has hiked at since 1980, I think is when it would be. This is going back to 1988, so this is excluding data before then. In 1988, strong economic activity and building price pressures led to rapid hikes. In 88 and 89, they raised interest rates 3.23% over the course of about 10 to 11, 12 months. 94 and 95, they hiked them 2.65%. That was the middle of the decade recession. 99 to 00, we saw a 1.15% percentage point rate hike. That'd be 151 basis points in about as much time as we've seen so far, about 12 months, about a year. You can see here they said the Fed begins preemptively raising interest rates to curb inflation risks amid productivity growth, rising demand, and a tight labor market. This also had to do with the dot-com bubble moving into the 01 era. There was a recession in 01 right around the time of 9/11. It started before 9/11. 9/11 exasperated it. 04 and 06, moving into the what would become the housing market bubble. They raised interest rates, one of the fastest rates that we've ever seen other than what we've seen right now. And they raised them further, almost 4% in the span of 2 years. That took them about 24 months. In 2015 to 2018, they hiked rates all the way up to 2% from zero, with inflation hiking just a little bit and the fact that the inflation data had been so low. If we go over to our friend fred.stlouis.org, then I can type in EFFR. Actually, it might be, it's federal, actually, it's not EFFR over here. It's Federal Reserve Funds Rate, I think is the name of the chart. Goodness, is it going to give it to me? It's not going to give it to me. Hang on, let me go on to Google and I'll pull it up. Let's go to google.com. Fred EFFR hikes. It's a pretty easy chart to find. There we go. Here we go. This is the chart I'm trying to show you. I think this will show me. Yep. Oh, it doesn't show me the whole thing. Why are you not showing me the whole thing? It won't go all the way back. Okay, well, give me 1 second, guys. I'm trying to show you a chart here, but Fred's just not cooperating with me. You guys know I've gotten on to Fred about this before. I think it's this one. Did I find it? Nope. Fred doesn't want to cooperate. Let's see if this chart will do it. Okay, well, it's only going back to 2000 now. Anyway, the point is that visual capitalist thing here is showing the different times that rates have hiked. And with the fact that rates are hiking the fastest they ever have, it does make sense that the Fed would want to pause hiking rates for a while, even if they do continue hiking rates later. I don't think they will. At this point, I think they very well may keep them at 5.15% until inflation gets down to target 2 to target 3%. The thing is, the question comes into whether or not they're actually going to pause them, because I think you're going to hit a sticking point on inflation right around 3 to 4%. I think it's going to be really hard for them to get it down to target 2 unless you fudge the data, which the Bureau of Labor Statistics loves to do, because of the massive amount of inflation that's coming not from money printing, but from the fact that the Fed is also rolling off $95 billion worth of treasuries and mortgage-backed securities from its balance sheet every month, bringing down the size of the balance sheet, causing this liquidity crunch in the United States markets, and especially in the debt markets. And also the fact that we have a looming war with Taiwan that may or may not happen, but nevertheless, the fear is in the market, and the fear is triggering people leaving China, having to rebase all their industry. So even if the war doesn't happen, the uncertainty and doubt about whether China will invade Taiwan is having a huge impact on the economy. And the fact that Russia and Ukraine are still in the bloodiest, deadliest, most horrible war that we've seen on European soil in over 70 years. All of those things are leading to massive supply chain disruptions that we have not even begun to feel the full brunt of. And we're likely to have an agricultural crisis crisis moving into the last part of this year as a result of fertilizer shortages, because there's been so much disruption to the fertilizer industry around the world. We don't really know exactly the size and scale of that disruption, but it is likely going to occur. All of those things are going to drive some inflation in the United States market, and that's going to make 3 to 4% a sticking point, in my opinion, for inflation. I think going below 5% is going to be just about as easy as it was to go from 7 to 6 to 5, but after you get down to 4%, dropping it lower, I think, is going to be hard. So I'm not sure if we should expect the effective federal funds rate to drop all the way back down to 0 in the next 12 months, but we might see some kind of drop relatively soon. I think you will at least see a plateau. I am very confident. I give it a 95% likelihood that we're going to see 0 or only one more 25 basis point rate hikes. If there is one more, and I think that's the least likely of the options, it will be one more hike on June 14th next month. That would, of course, change things a lot in the short term. But the point is, moving into the rest of this year, we're exiting this era of increasing rate hikes. Well, the last time that the United States hiked rates this aggressively was literally 1980, and there was a ton of things going on back then. We were at the height of the Cold War, huge amounts of military spending. You had the Star Wars project under Reagan. You had, for one thing, Ronald Reagan trying to decrease taxes, change the way the government worked. You know, Ronald Reagan's famous quote is, the most scary words you can hear from somebody is, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. That's a very terrifying statement and a very, very eloquent point that the president of the United States made back in the 80s. You also had, of course, the impending fall of the Berlin Wall. You had nuclear nuclear non-proliferation deals attempting to be put into place, but they weren't actually helping a whole lot because you still had 30,000 nukes pointed at each other. You had crisis in Afghanistan. You had cultural issues coming from the Vietnam War. You had, the United States was just moving into this period of, integration, and, the United States finally agreed that racism was a bad thing around the 70s and 80s. So that was changing things, which obviously racism is a horrible thing. But, some people in the United States were still trying to get used to that fact. And you also, of course, had the moving into the late 70s, you had the issues with gasoline prices. So inflation was at a huge rate. Back then, the United States economy was undergoing all kinds of tumult. And so inflation hiked faster. It has not hiked that fast in a very long time, in over 40 years. So it's likely that they will pause interest rate hikes, even if they resume them later. So all of that in mind, I just wanted to give you a bunch of information. So one, you can be prepared for the movement that's coming on Wednesday. But two, you can be prepared for the movements that are coming next month as a result of changes to the rate market and as a result of changes in the inflation market. Those things are going to have lasting impacts on the stock market, on the Dixie, and of course, for you, what you care about most, more than likely being here on the channel, on the Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market. If you're enjoying the content that we talk about today, I would highly encourage you to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to sign up and get that deal from NordVPN. I love finding deals for you guys. You're going to save like 60% on NordVPN with a link down below. It's a great investment to help you in your security. We'll be talking about that more in coming videos. Really big thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring Saturday's video. And again, like I told you at the beginning of the stream, they didn't even ask me to put this placement here. I just wanted to let you know how you could save $100 on a great product. Like, I'm not even being paid to put this here, because it's not about that for me. I don't go and collect sponsors to collect money. The reason that we bring sponsors onto the channel is because they have a product that we really believe in. I really believe in Nord. I really believe in TradingView, which is another sponsor of the channel. You can find that link down below. Save $30. I really believe in LuxAlgo. I really believe in Club DeFi. Makes sense. I made it, and I firmly believe in it. Those are our 4 big sponsors right now. I believe firmly in every single one of them, and I would be telling you about every single one of them even if it were not for those sponsor relationships. That's the way I like to run sponsors. So big shout out to those guys. You can find those links down below. All right, let's read chat a little bit, and then we're going to answer some questions and probably wrap it out. Volume very low, I think, so I agree with LuxAlgo. Yeah, there is very low volume right now. That's absolutely right. I wasn't late. It's just I make deliveries in New York City. Okay, so we can expect you to be 3 hours late because everything takes forever in the city that never sleeps. That's why they never sleep, because things take forever to get anywhere. James Stetson said another scary thing is CEOs say they'll impose pay and work conditions if they get tax cut. Interesting. Were you going to talk about Pepe? I will mention it very briefly. This cryptocurrency has gotten so much hype. And I told you guys, I mean, I don't mean to sit here and say I told you so, but I told you guys it was probably a bad idea to buy it unless you're going to put like 1/10 of your portfolio. Like if you're going to put like $100 on it because you're speculating and you've got $100,000 portfolio, maybe go for it. But you can see here, everybody was super excited that Pepe hit $1 billion market cap. Now it's already lost 50% of its market capitalization. The hype cycle's kind of over. This is what I'm talking about. When you get, and look, guys, let me just tell you, how many views I could have gotten if I had made Saturday's video about Pepe instead of the Fed. I mean, look at Jerome Powell here. Does this look like the most interesting thing to talk about in crypto? Probably not. But, and the reason that I was so hesitant to even talk about it last week when I brought it up is because I knew this was going to happen. I didn't know whether it would happen today, next month, next week, a year from now, but eventually it was going to hit a major peak and it was going to go through a major correction. Now, here's the deal, because I don't want to just poop on the parade too much. Eventually, with all the hype, Pepe very well may go through another rally. This might be a buy the dip situation. It's very possible that you put just a tiny little bit in here, maybe it could go higher. But I asked you the question on Thursday's stream, I think it was, how do you explain to me, this was on Friday's stream, I think, how do you explain to me that Pepe is going to find another $1.5 billion to double again? How's he going to do it? It's not. That's the point. So, a lot of people made a lot of money, but the people that made money in this leg made money from the people that bought in during this leg. Just to be very clear, that's the way that works. If you bought in after 1 p.m., May the 5th, 2023, if you bought in after that, you are the one that are paying the people that bought in before 1 p.m., 5/5/2023. If you're buying in now, you're the one that's paying the people that bought in before. That's what happens when you buy something with no intrinsic value. That's what happens when you buy something with hype. Pepe might go to zero. It might go to $10 billion. I don't care. The point is, if you buy something with no underlying intrinsic value, which basically every single meme coin except Doge is in that camp. Doge has some intrinsic value in that it was the first meme coin. And so it's always going to get attention when meme coins get attention. And it's Elon Musk's favorite. So there's a little bit of actual like real value there. How much? I don't know. I still think Doge might be overvalued, but I could see it pumping again, right? A new meme coin is kind of like when the NFTs came out. You had CryptoPunks, you had Bored Ape Yacht Club. Those two worth billions of dollars in market cap right now, or hundreds of millions, something crazy like that. Everything that came after it is worthless because it wasn't the first. It didn't have first mover advantage. Dogecoin's got first mover advantage. I'll give you that. Pepe, it doesn't. It just doesn't. And so Pepe can try and do whatever it wants with this community, and I'm not saying it can't go higher. It could break the current market cap local high, which is at all-time high, which is at $1.67 billion. The tricky thing is there's no way for us thinking logically, just to be blunt, there's no way for us thinking logically about it, saying what is giving me evidence-based investing and trading, what is giving me evidence that is going to go back above all-time high, what evidence, I can't stress that enough, what evidence do we have that it will go back above all-time high? I can't think of any. So if you can think of some, go for it. But I encourage you that if you're going to make a trade, evidence, okay? Because if you're investing and you don't have evidence, then you're not investing logically. You're investing emotionally. And that is the cardinal sin of trading and investing, is investing based on emotion. So I take a very firm stance on that because I've seen a lot of people get very hurt. I've watched people take a second mortgage out on their house and buy the top of Dogecoin and then lose 90%. I don't know what happened on the rest of that story because I just heard the one snippet from a friend of the friend. That person is probably bankrupt right now. That's what I don't want to happen to you. Stupid investments make bankrupt families. And I care about your financial sovereignty, so I will call it out no matter how unpopular it makes me. It is not a good idea to invest in something if you don't have evidence for it. All right, I'm going to take my soapbox, I'm going to put it back in the closet, but I just had to make that point. and I will play both sides of the card. You very well could make some money on it, so it's not a bad idea just to throw a little bit in it, because you never know, right? It could go up 500%. It could somehow hit $10 billion market cap. I don't know how, but you could put a little bit in it. That's called speculating. All right, you don't build your trading and investing portfolio off of speculating. But if you want to speculate, because I don't know, maybe, if you're speculating on land, like, I don't know, I'll buy this land because it's dirt cheap and maybe Walmart wants to build a Walmart on here in 15 years. I don't have any proof for it, but maybe, right? There's a place to put a small percentage of your portfolio into speculation. Don't bet the farm on it, as some people have basically literally done on meme coins. All right. I can't believe it. Crypto Jebb said buy Dogecoin. Yeah, I mean, put maybe just a tiny little bit, because you never know. During the next cycle, somebody could come in, pump the living, ever-loving daylights out of Dogecoin, and you can make some money. If you're going to set up your investment portfolio, I would put no more than 1% towards speculation. And speculation a lot of times are new NFTs, new meme coins, etc. This is something that's unpopular in the cryptocurrency space, but I'm going to shout it from the rooftops because I want people to invest in cryptocurrency based on sound money principles and not get wrecked. Pepe is the oldest meme around. My grandparents knew Pepe was sitting when I was sitting for family dinner. Yes, Pepe is a very old meme. That's true. That's true. Oleg said, Crypto Jebb said, don't buy Pepe, buy Dogecoin. You guys are taking what I'm saying completely out of context. Oh my gosh. When Pepe announces utility, everybody's announced utility. Okay? So just because something has utility doesn't mean the utility is useful. And maybe it is. I don't know. We'd have to see. All right. What do you mean by exporting your private keys to your computer, Jebb? It's possible in something like Exodus Wallet or whatever wallet to export your private keys so that you can transfer them onto a ledger or transfer them onto, MetaMask or transfer them onto another Exodus, whatever. It's possible to export your private keys so that you can use them for something. If you do that, that leaves a permanent record of the private keys on your laptop until they get, or on your computer until they get totally overwritten because of the way that hard drives work. If you write something to a hard drive and you delete it, you don't actually delete the data. You just delete the pointer to the data. That's like saying, let's think about data on a laptop like this. And this is why something like NordVPN is very useful. If you have data on your computer, that's like burying some treasure on a remote island, but you have a treasure map to it. The treasure map says X marks the spot. There's the data. What happens when a computer deletes something is it doesn't poof the treasure out of existence. It's still there. It just burns the treasure map. So if you get a hacker come into your computer and they're really good at finding treasure because they got like the biggest metal detector on the planet and they hack into your computer, then if that data is still there and it hasn't been written over by other data, they can find it. So they might not be able to find every single one of your private keys, but they might be able to find some of your private keys hacking into your wallet, even though you deleted the private keys just because you exported them one time onto your computer. Okay, so there's a lot of different ways that hackers can get to you. That's just one example. NordVPN is going to help to protect you from that. That's why I want you guys to save 60% off a 2-year plan using the link down below. I stand corrected. Crypto Jebb said buy Pepe by speculation. No, I said maybe 0.1% of your portfolio. So if you got 100 grand, maybe throw 100 bucks into it. You never know if it could turn into $500 or $1,000. Might be helpful, but don't make a habit out of it. Jebb, I turned $100 into $1,000 with Pepe. I took out my $100 initial and have the rest in a moon bag that's fluctuating with gas prices high. Would you leave it in Pepe or exchange it? Gas fee is crazy. I would take out more than your initial because you made good profit. You got in it early enough that you made money. You are the 1 in 10 people that will make a lot of money with a meme coin. Congratulations to you. 1 in 10 to maybe 1 in 50 people will actually make a lot of money with a meme coin. Not a reliable strategy, but if you find yourself in that position, great. I wouldn't encourage you to go out and make your full-time job scratching off lottery tickets because that's a stupid way to try and pay for your lifestyle. But if you happen to win the lottery, good for you. Great. Awesome. It's not a reliable strategy, but congratulations, right? Similarly, if you manage to win the lottery with a meme coin, because it is possible, I've seen people do it. I met a subscriber in Publix one time, right before I got married, a couple days before I got married. I have a picture with him. He said, Jebb, I turned $1,000 into $400,000 because I bought a coin and it moonshot. Like, it's happened before. And I asked him, really? What other trades have you made? He's like, he didn't know what to do. That's the only trade he ever made. He got lucky. I was very happy for him. Gave him a hug. I was like, good for you, man. Please be careful with the money you just made because that's not, you can't reliably do that twice. I would take out more than the $100 personally. And I'm not trying to give you financial advice. I'm just giving you my opinion because you asked. I'm not your financial advisor. I would take out more than the 100 because you never know what's going to happen with Pepe. It sounds like you got in really, really early. So even if it drops a lot, you'll still be in profit, but I would take out some profit while you can. That's what everybody else is doing. People taking out the profit while they can is why Pepe has lost half of its value in, 3 days. So there you go. Guys, by the way, I'm going to have to wrap it out. I just realized I'm 5 minutes over time. The stream's 45 minutes now, so I'm going to have to go. But before I go, I do just want to let you guys know about Club DeFi. If you're not aware, Club DeFi is the one-stop shop to learn everything that you need to know about investing in cryptocurrency the right way. Right now, our premier and flagship course is Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis. Over here, in over 60 videos, I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know about technical analysis so that you can hit the ground running making money in this space and transitioning that technical analysis into profitable trades that you are then going to be able to use to your advantage to make money. That's what I want you to do. I want you to be able to find financial sovereignty in the cryptocurrency space by making profitable trades and investments and lucrative decisions in the cryptocurrency space so that you can have enough money that you are not serving your finances, but your finances are serving you. The Bible says you cannot serve both God and mammon. Mammon means riches. You cannot do both things. If you are spending your life serving money, whatever it is else that you want to be serving, whether it be your spouse, your family, your children, your ministry, your career, your political affiliation, your church, your whatever it is, your charity, you're not going to be able to serve that correctly unless, and hopefully you're serving God with all your heart and soul, mind, and strength like I want to do. But if that's not the case, whatever you're trying to serve, you will not be able to serve it properly if you are serving your finances, your mammon, your riches first, because you will hate the one and love the other. The Bible's absolutely accurate on that. Even if you're not a Christian, you can take that as a piece of financial advice, and that is financial advice. You cannot serve both God and your riches. You can't do it. So get your riches in the place where they are not going to be demanding you serve them, but they serve you so that you can go forward and do whatever it is you want with your life, whatever you feel called to do with your life. I hope it's to serve God, but if that's not it, that's your personal decision. If it's to go forward and serve a charity, to go serve a political organization or build a business, whatever it is, you need your finances serving you or you will not be successful in the financial realm of that. You just won't. If your goal is to make a lot of money and your goal is literally just to make a ton of money, then maybe. I hope that's not your goal, because money will not bring you happiness or fulfillment. I've had a lot of money, it's not going to do it. So I want to help you achieve financial sovereignty. The way that I'm helping you do that right now is by teaching you a valuable skill set called technical analysis. You've seen me do technical analysis today. You've seen me do technical analysis for the last 6 years on this channel, over 2,500 videos that we've uploaded, and it is a very profitable skill. So I'd highly encourage you to sign up for Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis with the link down below. Guys, I am going to have to go ahead and wrap it out, but make sure you sign up for Club DeFi, sign up for NordVPN, get access to that deal over on Nord. They've given us a really, really, really great coupon code, so thank you to them. Before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.